Hello everyone and welcome back. I hope you're all doing really well. I am coming to you today with a very casual May favourites from my living room floor. I spent today filming in here and I pushed back all the furniture to do so, so I thought I may as well make the most of it and try and get as much content as possible before I have to put the sofa back, and I just don't want to do that. So it's favourites time again. Already, massive cliche to say this in one of these videos, but time flies. It's going so quickly. Where has the month gone? March was such a strange month. It went on forever. And ever since then, time has just elapsed so quickly. And we're here again. We're back for favourites. So I actually have quite a few beauty favourites for this month, which we love to see. And I've been reading again, which feels so good to say. I read about 4 books in the space of a week, so I'm still an all or nothing girl. But I'm going to talk about what I read this month as well, and my favourite books that I did get through. So let's first of all, I think I have to address what my absolute favourite thing of the month is. I don't usually single out my favourites, but it goes without saying that this was my favourite and best purchase I have made for a very long time. And seeing as we are, keeping at home as much as possible now, this is potentially the best and most intelligent thing that I've ever decided to acquire, and that is a coffee machine. I'm so obsessed with this coffee machine. We've had it for 2 weeks now, I think, and it's been a life-changing 2 weeks. It's the Sage Barista Express. So it's pretty much a professional coffee machine, or as far as you can go with that in the home. I've never really had freshly ground coffee at home before. I've usually just gone for pre-ground and used like a cafetiere or a pour over method, but I don't know if I'll be able to go back to those because it is the best coffee I have ever made myself. It is quite eye-wateringly expensive, but I mean, it's gonna last forever. I'm gonna have to buy so much less coffee now, and it's quite life enriching. So 100% happy with that. Obviously with the coffee machine comes the need for this vast amount of coffee paraphernalia now, and that is something that I have truly stuck my teeth into. So I have a few favorites. Obviously coffee beans are essential, and now it may seem strange to some of you to invest in such an expensive coffee machine when I only drink decaf coffee. Decaf coffee is real coffee too. So I found these beans. I've had these before actually. I think I got the ground version, but these are the actual beans. They're from Monmouth Coffee, who are just a great brand and company all round. Their ethics, what they do with coffee, and actually the taste of it too. I remember the first time I had some Monmouth coffee and I didn't know that it was anything different or special, but it was amazing. So I immediately decided to go out and get some beans. I think if you're really kind of overwhelmed by the world of buying coffee and coffee beans, the best thing to do is to think of your favorite places to buy coffee, so your favorite coffee shops, your favorite cafes, and usually you'll be able to find out, or even they might stock the coffee that they use for you to buy. So that's a great place to start, and that's kind of what I did with this. So these are my favorite decaf coffee beans. They are Colombian, and these are actually filtered through a water process. They're decaffeinated that way. Some decaffeination can involve chemicals, which is not the best. So I always look out for coffee beans that have been decaffeinated that way. So I also wanted to get myself some proper kind of latte, flat white type cups. These are the ones that you usually see in kind of like little bougie independent coffee shops. And I really like having like a flat white out of these. That's what I will usually go for my coffee. The machine actually has like a milk steaming spout, and while I'm not the best at it yet, I think it's probably my choice of almond milk that's really hindering my latte art there. It's just a great little cup to drink out of. I got these from John Lewis. They were really inexpensive for a pack of 4, and I like that they're glass too. And then I have a second one here, which is more of like your traditional coffee mug. This actually is, I think, designed for use in cafes because it's a proper latte mug. It's actually really thick, and the way that it's domed, I think, is supposed to help the whole process. It's a very scientific world. I just liked the way it looked, so I got 2 of these. They're from Loveramics or something like that, Loveramics. They're kind of like, I'd say, the aficionado on coffee cups. I'd never heard of them before, but in my exploration online, they seem to really pop up quite often. If I want more of a traditional kind of mug, I have been using that, and it's just so enjoyable to drink coffee out of a good vessel, no matter what your preference is. If it's something like this, if it's something really fancy, or even if it's just a novelty mug, I really think picking the right cup to drink your coffee out of is a very big deal. So that is it for my little coffee spiel. Let's move on. So beauty favorites, where to begin? I am going to pick out this here first. This is from Jo Malone. It's a very bougie, there's that word again, favorite to have, but it is beautiful, truly beautiful. I think you guys might have seen this when I unpackaged it in an unboxing video, and they've done a whole lavender based collection. So they've got a few fragrances, I think there's some body products and a candle too, and this is kind of the wild card product, I guess. It's a pillow mist. I don't think Jo Malone do have any other pillow mists other than this one, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's lavender and musk. And I kind of picked this out of the parcel, thought, it smells good, I'll just use this because I'm a big lover and big fan of pillow mists in general, and see how it goes. And oh my god, I cannot get into bed now without using this. It is a strange combination of not quite a lavender and not quite a musk either. It's very difficult to explain, but it's very different to other pillow sprays I've tried because it's not overwhelmingly kind of sleepy, which I think most generic lavender based or vetiver ones usually do. If this was a fragrance, I would absolutely wear it, but spraying it onto my pillow is just so enjoyable, because getting into bed with this surrounded, I do pillow, I do headboard, I do duvet and bedspreads, I do everything. It's just so good. It's not floral and it's not really like woody or earthy or vanilla-y, it's just somewhere right in the middle, but it is just life-changing. I haven't reached for any of my other pillow sprays. It does make me feel sleepy in the sense that when I spray this, I know it's time for bed, so it's almost like a little placebo effect, I think. But like settling down into this and really enjoying it and breathing in, it's just great. I probably talked about that for too long, but I had to mention that in the favourites because it's probably one of my absolute favourites again this month. So let's talk about some skincare. I recently did a skincare order for some Roche-Posay products that I had been running out of. I'm sure you know, if you're not new around here, my love for Roche-Posay skincare and how deep it goes. And I was having one of those moments where I think I'd used a lot of new products. My skin was kind of confused, not freaking out, but just didn't really know what to do because all these new things and ingredients were being piled on top of it. So I decided to just strip it back, use the two products that I know and love, which are the cleansing milk and this. Moisturiser for me is a tricky one because I'm not super faithful to a lot of moisturisers and I like to try different ones. But I know that I can always go back to this and it is just going to be so good for my skin. It's the Toleriane Ultra Fluid. There are two of these. One is slightly richer and this is a lighter version. It's just like the base level for moisturisers. It's so simple. It's a French pharmacy brand, so it's very much like results based. It's not massive on the packaging or anything like that. It doesn't have a lot of thrills to it. It doesn't do anything exceptionally, magical. It just is so good when combined with everything else that you're using on your skin. So I just always find myself going back to this. Today and this month is no exception. This is actually quite a light moisturiser, and I do have really dry skin and this is still enough for me. I like to layer it with something hyaluronic underneath, like a serum, and then maybe put a few drops of oil on top, but I can wear this on its own and it's completely fine. So it's a really strange one where it's very thin and very light and breathable, but still super hydrating. So in the daytime, I've been using something new on top of that. This is an SPF. Obviously, I am a keen wearer of SPF. There have been quite a few days this month where I haven't worn it. Usually I'm an every single day without fail kind of person, but there have been times this month where I knew for a fact that I wasn't leaving the house whatsoever and I wasn't even going to be next to a window with a lot of sunlight coming in. So other than that, this would be going on my face every single day, every time I'm out, reapplying as well. And it's from Thank You Pharma. I think in my skincare video that I did a little while back, where if you're interested in skincare and my routine in particular, I broke it down. I seriously just went through every single product I use. I'll leave that linked up here if you're interested. But I think I asked for some recommendations for SPF and a few of you recommended this. I'm sure I've used something from this brand before, but a really long time ago. It's a Korean skincare brand, which we love. And it's the Sun Project Light Sun Essence. There's two of these. There's a slightly richer one and a lighter one. And I decided to go for the lighter one because it's summer now. It's SPF 50, which is great. And it's just all around such a great SPF. I have no complaints about it at all. It makes my skin feel great, it protects it, it doesn't have a white cast to it, and it's really quite hydrating as well. So when I go for a run in the mornings, I don't do anything skincare wise usually other than rinse it with some cleansing water and put this on, and that's enough for me. So I've really enjoyed using that, and that's quite a great new discovery. What else do I have that is new? Charlotte Tilbury's Crystal Elixir Magic Lip Oil. So I was sent this along with one other product, which was the Crystal, I think it was the Crystal Elixir Serum, which I had such incredible high hopes for. The balm to me seemed really nice and I was excited to try it, but it wasn't what I was expecting to love the most, and it completely flipped. I think I actually had some kind of reaction to the serum. I don't know if you guys remember, but in a few videos back I was mentioning how I had a lot of spots on my temples, like really deep ones. And disclaimer here, that could have been anything. It could have been what I was eating, it could have been stress. But it started when I started using that Charlotte Tilbury serum. So I thought, I should probably stop this and see what happens. And then it went away. So who knows if that was what it actually was. But I'm a little bit apprehensive to try it again now. The lip oil, however, has become a staple for me every single day. I've been keeping this on my bedside table, and I usually put it on at night because it's quite an intense, rich one. The smell of this is amazing. It smells like vanilla cupcakes, but in a very mature and grown-up way, mixed with Diptyque's Eau Duelle, which is also a vanilla-based scent, so that makes sense. I'm obsessed with it, and also it's in a rollable, which I think is so cool. It's very 2000s. As far as a lip balm goes, it's great as well. I mean, that's probably the most important thing about it, not how it smells. It's actually supposed to be a lip mask, so you can wear this as a lip balm, but it says lip conditioner by day, lip mask by night. And I really find that to be very true. The mark of a good lip balm for me, especially an overnight one, is that I can put it on when I go to bed and I can still feel it on my lips in the morning. That just kind of tells me that it's been there all night and it's been protecting it and keeping my lips hydrated. And this definitely does that. I feel like I've almost used half of this tube because I really get it on there. But I have really enjoyed using that this month. I think I have one last skincare product. Yeah, this is a mask. Now I'm not a massive user of masks, despite having quite a few of them, and generally really enjoying the effects of a mask. I think it's just the time and the effort and the energy that I struggle with. That same thing could be said about a lot of aspects of my life. But I have been trying to use masks more. I think now that we've got so much more time on our hands to indulge in a bit of self-care and self-maintenance and having a really good skincare routine, I've been trying to mask at least a few times a week. And this has kind of turned out to be my favorite. It's from Summer Fridays. It's the R&R mask. This is one of those products that you can put on, and every time I use it, I'm kind of questioning why I've done this. I feel like it's not doing anything. I must have remembered it wrong. It wasn't actually that good. And then I regret the kind of 10 to 15 minutes sitting there waiting for it to finish masking. And then I take it off and my skin feels so good. It's a mix between an exfoliating mask and a hydrating one. So it has these little beads in it. It's clear when it goes on and it feels quite balmy. But when you take it off, your skin just feels so rehydrated and plumped. And it's one of those masks that you can feel a little bit of residue left over, and that's great because it just makes my skin feel really comfortable. Summer Fridays products are kind of hit and miss for me. For the most part, they're also quite expensive and really hard to get hold of. They're always sold out. But this one has just been great. So far to say that now I just pick this up on a Sunday without even thinking and use it, and have really been enjoying doing that. Okay, last beauty favorite. This is the last one, and then I'll talk about books. Is a hair product. I think I've talked about this a little bit before, but my hair, again, I've been trying to get it into good condition while I have all this time on my hands. It's gotten quite long. Here we go. It's all hiding behind my my shoulders at the moment, but yeah, my hair has gotten quite long. As you can see, I think I have about 3 or 4 inches of bleach left in it. I'm really actually struggling to decide what to do once I am actually able to get a haircut. Although don't tell my hairdresser, I have been trimming it. I think I've trimmed it twice since we've been in lockdown. just to get rid of the dead bits. So obviously I've spent a long time growing out the blonde, but I'm starting to miss it already. I do like having my natural colour back here at the roots, but I think it's nice just to have something to break it up. While I'm pondering over that dilemma, I've been trying to keep it nice and healthy, so I've been letting it air dry as much as possible. My hair is kind of a funny one. It's not straight, it's not curly, it's a bit wavy and sometimes quite frizzy when I leave it to dry on its own. So I have been putting this into it, which is from Kristen. This is just massively part of my routine now. So I wash my hair. It depends how much I've been exercising and how much it needs to wash, but I try to go maybe 4 days, maybe 5, maybe less if it really needs it. So every time I do, I'll put like a blob of this in, I'll smooth it through most of my hair, pretty much root to tip, and then just brush it through and leave it. And that's how my hair kind of dries on its own. This really makes such a difference. I have found, especially at my roots where I get a lot of frizz, I get a lot of like knotting as it dries, which is really strange. And then the ends too. The ends feel so much better and more moisturized now. It gives a lot of shine too. My hair is not particularly shiny even in its natural state, but using this, it does give it a nice glossy finish, which I'm not sure how. I think this is actually supposed to or supposedly makes your hair dry a lot faster as well, which I'm not really sure if it does because my hair luckily dries quite fast as it is. So that wasn't something I was really interested in about it, but I like it a lot. So Kristen Air Dry Cream. That is my final beauty favourite for the month. So before the sun goes down, which it is about to do, let's talk about books. I'm going to do these in the order that I read them this month. So book number 1 is Normal People. I kind of just want to add to this as well that the series, the BBC, I think it was BBC 3 adaptation that's come out recently, is also my favourite thing that I have watched this month. We started watching it, I can't remember, it was like a weekday, maybe a Tuesday night. We started watching it at about 10 or 11 and didn't stop. We watched the entire thing until 5 in the morning, which is something that maybe I would do, but not something that Joe would ever do. So he must have liked it. I've had this book for a couple of years and not really ever reached for it. So I kind of made the wrong choice to watch the series first, but I think it actually worked out quite well. It sort of enriched the story for me while I was reading the book. It's probably one of the closest adaptations I have ever seen and read. They are so similar down to the conversations, the dialogue, the plot. Every single plot point is pretty much the same. I can't really think of anything that deviates. And the way the characters are represented, I think the actors, Paul Mescal and Daisy Edgar-Jones, did such a good job. I mean, I'm a little bit in love with them. I'm following them on Instagram, which is kind of sad, but there you go. The thing about it was so beautifully filmed. It was so perfect, it was wonderful, it was emotional and raw and difficult to watch at points, but overall just amazing. I will not give away any spoilers, don't worry, but there are some scenes and some episodes that are beautiful to look at. The cinematography and just the way everything comes together is incredible. So Normal People, I watched the series first, then I read the book pretty much straight away. I don't know if I would have had a different experience had I done it the other way around, but I still loved this. I loved it on its own, separately, as well as the whole thing put together. So I don't know if it was because I hadn't really read a book for a little while when I started reading this, or if it is the way it's written, but the dialogue kind of flows in a very smooth and sometimes a little bit jumpy way. I was struggling at points to know who was speaking and who was saying what was being said. I think I settled into that after a few chapters and it was absolutely fine. You kind of get immersed in the way the story is told and it all makes a lot of sense. Other than that, I found it was maybe a little bit more fast-paced than the TV show. I feel like that really went into depth, obviously, because you have a lot more time and visuals and things available to explain the story. When I read the book, actually, I felt like it was almost quite rushed. It basically follows 2 characters that know each other from school, and it kind of progresses throughout their life over a couple of years, and you see them interact and be apart. It's a great kind of love story at the end of it, but it's also about friendship, it's about mental health, it's about family, and all different types of relationship, whether that's romantic or physical or just platonic. I really enjoyed this. I got super sucked into it, and I was thinking about the characters just days, if not weeks, if not still now after reading it. So I highly recommend it. I don't really think you could go wrong by watching the series first, because I still enjoyed it so much. Or if you want to read the book first, I think that'd be a great place to start. Overall, just this story is so absorbing, and a fantastic one from Sally Rooney. So Sally Rooney is then where I went next again. I thought, I enjoyed that so much, I'm going to read another one of her books. So I went for Conversations with Friends. I think she's only got one other, which is a collection of short stories. But this is her debut novel. It came out a few years, I think, before Normal People. And this is very different. Again, this is where it comes in that I'm not sure if it's because I had that whole story and premise and everything in the back of my mind from watching the TV series before I read Normal People. But this kind of hit me a little bit differently. So this kind of focuses on the lives of two friends, two 20-something girls who live in Dublin. Actually, Normal People is also set mostly in Dublin, and with both of these novels I felt really immersed in that whole city and everything going on there, which was great. So this one is again about relationships and all the different types of relationships that are out there. I think that's kind of maybe Sally Rooney's thing. This one focuses on Frances, who's a poet and an aspiring writer, and her relationship with her best friend Bobby, who she also used to date, and then what happens when the pair of them meet some other characters and how they kind of intertwine with their lives. It's all just very much character driven situations. I think what it was about this is that I didn't connect quite so much with any of the characters as I did in Normal People. When I was reading and watching Marianne, she felt so incredibly relatable to me, whereas the characters in Conversations with Friends maybe not so much, but I still really enjoyed it. It was still a massive page turner. The ending, if you've read this, let me know what you thought of the ending, because I wasn't 100% sold on it, but it was great. I think if you're going to go for Sally Rooney, definitely do Normal People first, but I still really did enjoy this one. So then I read The Dutch House by Anne Patchett. This was a kind of random find. I'd seen a few people reading it, but it was also recommended to me on Amazon, probably because it's kind of on the bestseller list at the moment. But this one is kind of like, I'd say, an intergenerational family relationship based story. I was really hooked on this one from the first couple of pages. It revolves around the lives of a family who live in a house in Pennsylvania, and it's a really kind of extraordinary architecture wonder house that's very different from everything else around it. It's mainly focused on the two children, but more so the boy, who I think we start in 1945 when he's about 12, and it goes on to modern day, like to the early 2000s when he's in his 40s and 50s. And it was just such an absorbing book. I do enjoy when a lot of time elapses throughout a story. I think it's incredibly interesting to see how people change, and how a story can really captivate you from beginning to end when it's been such a long time between the two of those. I really liked everything about this, maybe other than the narrator. Maybe it was more so the male perspective, or that he just was a little bit, I guess, petulant. But, you know, still a really enjoyable character to read about. I think his sister in the story, who's actually this girl on the front cover who's called Maeve, is the most interesting. But the whole thing is great. It really kind of captures that coming of age feeling, having to decide what you're going to do with your life, and how things really do change from childhood to adulthood, and, you know, everything in between. It was just a very interesting book. I found everything about it so interesting, particularly the actual Dutch house that they talk about, the lives of all the individual characters, how things unfold, and the ending of this I really enjoyed. It's not often that I read a book and I'm really satisfied by the end, and it's not so much a case of like everything being tied up in a nice little bow, but just that feeling of, oh yes, I really wanted this to happen, which I definitely got at the end of this. I don't know if that's a spoiler. It's really not, it's fine. But probably, other than Normal People, the most enjoyable thing that I did read this month. So then the final book, I was kind of finishing this one up. I was about halfway through, and I've been making it my mission to finish all the unfinished books. This is Three Women by Lisa Taddeo. When I first started reading this, I got really confused by it because it reads like fiction. It's the story of three women 3 different women across America, and basically how they explore desire and sexual relationships and the kind of thought of themselves being women and what that means to each individual character. So it does say, I think it says at the beginning, this is based on a true story. The first line of it is, "This is a work of non-fiction," which I thought maybe was like a plot point and that was driving the story, but no, this is real. This is based on real women's stories. I think the names have been changed for all of them apart from one, who you can actually Google, and her story and everything that goes on in her chapters is in the news. So the way it reads is really interesting because it's nothing like a non-fiction at all. All the characters and all their different experiences is very different, but I found myself getting really absorbed into all of them. It wasn't just one that I was particularly drawn to. I found all of their perspectives really interesting. This deals with really realistic and really quite real situations, which are sometimes quite difficult to read and a little bit shocking, but actually just so very truthful, because that is what these people have experienced, and that's what I'm sure many others experience in their lives too. This was kind of the opposite of the Dutch house in that it kind of just ends. It doesn't really get tied up. It doesn't really have this great cathartic realization once all the events have transpired. But that is just so much like real life. That is what happens. There's never, you know, Prince Charming riding up on a horse, unless you're Richard Gere and Julia Roberts and it's a limo. And that wasn't even a real story either. It just kind of goes on. Life goes on. Situations happen. People deal with them, and you either grow from that or you don't. I think reading this as a woman was also very powerful. There were certain passages and parts that really just echoed back my life to me, which I found very interesting. Although maybe not the most fun and happy and light-hearted read, I think it's actually an important one. I think every woman should read this, and I'm really glad that I did. And there we have it, guys. Those are my May favourites. I feel like I just talked for an absolute hour there. Get me started on books, and that is what will happen. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'll leave everything listed down below if you want to go and quickly whiz through that. I really enjoyed filming sitting on the floor. It's been a while since I've done that, but it definitely makes things feel a lot easier. Words just flow out of my mouth. Maybe that's not such a good thing, but I'm going to leave you all here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I will see you all soon. Bye.